make it fade. Praying they don't lock us up in the cage from chopping the white on the plate with the blade. Used to be broke.
It's an episode of Strong United Voices. It's your boy D.
Miss Young Lady Black.
And Miss Lovely. And we want to give a shout out to Jayla Michaela as our engineers. We got a special guest on here, too.
Yay.
Kenny is back with us, Kenneth Simmons. And we got Uncle Neil back here with us. Well, not back here, first time here with the MVP, Most Valuable Parents.
Thank you for having
Okay, all right. Make sure I got that right. So what I want to do is I want to just, we haven't talked about the shootings lately on here ever since Mr. Simmons came on the show, gave me a different idea of a different format to go on and, you know, not talk about the violence all the time. But right now, we're just knowing that, you know, a couple of shootings, a lot have slowed down. We was going 4 and 5 or 3 and 2 a day. But right now, we had a total of 78 shootings. That's the total across the board since June and July. So I've, you know, been keeping a track of that. So we want to talk to you because I put up a post you had that's going on Thursday, the 30th. And if you could explain a little bit to us about that, because I want to get into a little bit with the Mayor Brown. And so is he holding this, or is this something you guys doing?
Something we're doing.
Okay, so you guys, this is you, you're running this. Okay, and he's going to be a part of this show?
Yeah,
He's part of this?
well, we're going to address local and federal government, and we're going to mention Mayor Brown.
Okay.
And what we expect of Mayor Brown,
Okay.
we respect to the gun violence in our community,
Right.
and we're going to allow him to speak if he like.
Oh, okay, so he is going to show up.
He said he was.
Okay, all right. And so explain to us a little bit what we looking forward to, because we come in there and we're going to go live out there. on that day
That's
too.
cool. That's cool.
We going live that day,
What I'm talking
so we can
about.
see if we can get some answers that everybody's asking. We had this with Kenny before about, you know, we didn't understand his position too well. My thing is, you know, what I was saying was that he, being mayor, you know, and watching the things that he's getting done and things that he's not getting done, and the first concern should have been about what these shootings, that the way they were going, violently, he wasn't coming out saying anything. And that's what, bringing red flags to everybody. Like, where's the mayor? What is he saying? But somebody broke a city hall window and you went and got that young boy in and locked him up. So we're just trying to figure out, like, do you know anything if the cameras really work out here, to your knowledge? Or, because we don't understand how nobody's getting caught. Like, I mean, they doing stuff in broad daylight.
But the little boy didn't get caught. He turned himself in.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Okay,
he
so
turned
they didn't have to
himself
go look for him because they had his picture
in.
of him.
No, he turned himself in, and actually the mayor was the one that advocated to get the charges dropped.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see. They don't post this.
And is about to get that young brother a job. See.
What did I say?
Yeah. So
I said
so
study teaching
that's
him a lesson and putting him in jail.
No. See, that's one thing that
You say
we
about
always
that
say,
media.
and that's one thing that Uncle Neil always teach us, that we should get accurate information.
Yeah.
See, the thing about it is not enough accurate information, you know, that's going out. And the mayor was the main one that advocated for him to be released, working with the federal government to get that young brother out of jail. So people need to start giving accurate information.
See, and that's the thing, because because they're not talking about it at all. Because the last thing I heard was him calling him idiots. Idiot, we got you on camera. So, you know, that was a little strong word coming from a mayor.
Well, not taking nothing away from anything that you said, but what was done that was idiotic to in broad daylight, well, in broad night, in front of cameras, in front of thousands of people without a mask or anything, just taking it upon yourself to throw a firebomb in City Hall in front of a whole lot of people. That just didn't make sense. You know, it just didn't make sense. Now, could he have
He's 19, right?
Yeah, could he have said something better? Yeah, but I think, and you know, not defending anybody's position, we put too much responsibility on the mayor and not enough responsibility on ourselves for making him and helping him be a better mayor. And when we have this press conference, you know, on the 30th, it's not to come and ask questions. What Uncle Neil was doing is giving our 2020 plan on how we are going to come up with a solution. You know, and how we are holding the community accountable, how we holding elected officials accountable. how we're holding, you know, people who can do something about this T-Hart amendment, and Uncle Neil will talk to you more about that.
Okay.
This is not a go after the mayor or go after.
Oh no, I'm not coming. I want that on live because I want to see exactly his response.
Accountability.
Right. I just want to see his response because, as I said, lately he haven't been saying anything. So, as a mayor, I would expect you to come out and say something to the gun violence that was going on. I mean, I have clips, and I don't have him out here really saying too much, but the police is doing a good job. That's what he said. That's his quote. He said the police is doing a great job answering calls. So I'm like answering calls and putting up yellow tape. What are they doing to get these people on there? And that's the thing I see that he's getting in here now, the reform agenda. Is that correct?
Well, let me say this before we start.
Okay.
I've made a tradition before I start any talk about gun violence that I would start off with this statement. There's approximately 14,000 homicides every year in America. Every homicide represents a multifold tragedy, a life lost, a family destroyed, and a community scarred. Beyond the yellow tape of the crime scene, the bereaved asks the question, who did this? For those of us committed to ending gun violence, the next question must be, where did they get the gun?
Right.
So that's where we're at. We won't deviate from that.
Okay.
See, people they've digressed. I'm not digressed, but they're circumventing that question. And so we've been locked in on arrest them, you know.
Right.
So, but we got to ask the question. Now, that's happening at the least.
Right.
Now we got to start going to the root.
Right.
You know, the scripture says that my people die for the lack of knowledge. So there's some things that we don't know. And our ignorance is being played on. But the narrative has to change, and we intend to do it.
Okay. And let's talk about how that's supposed to happen.
Well, let me say this as well. And I also always open by saying this. By no shape, form, or fashion am I here to use this platform as a cry to law enforcement to lock our people up.
Right.
That is not what Neil Dobbins is here for.
Right.
So I don't want anybody to mistake that, get that mistake in this listening. That's not what we're here for.
Okay.
But we are here to educate and enlighten our community on unjust policies, federal policies that we know perpetuate, not just perpetuate, but create and then perpetuate gun violence in our community. And we want to educate our community on these policies first. Because we can deal with the acute symptoms of the issue, and that's where the money is. But what we want to do is change the narrative that starts to deal with the chronic issue. All right? So that's what we intend on doing. We're changing the narrative, and anytime any local, state or federal government, law enforcement, if there's any conversation about gun violence or shootings, we're going to always ask the question, what are you doing to set up interdiction strategies to stop these guns from getting into our kids' hands? See, that's what we want to know. What are you going to do to set up strategies to stop these guns
To make
from
sure
coming?
they're not getting on the streets.
The guns are coming from somewhere. We're not the manufacturers, the wholesalers, the suppliers, the distributors, and the retailers of guns. But these guns find their way in our community. They've been doing it for years. And it seems like it's been like taboo to ask where they're getting their guns. And it's just a question that really has not been hammered down on, you know, that nobody's really stood on that question.
Right.
We intend to do that.
Okay.
And we want to know where the guns coming from and what the whole community, not just law enforcement, what are we going to do to stop these guns from getting into the hands of our kids?
Okay, now let me ask you another question. So when you have this on Thursday, who will be the speaker? Will it be you and Kenny?
Well, the community, it's a community.
So everybody will be able to come up and express their...
Yeah, well, we're have designated people.
Okay.
How it's structured is we put together what's called the 2020 Anti-Gun Violence Community Action Plan. 2020 Anti-Gun Violence Community Action Plan. And part one of our community action plan, the only one that I've seen so far that's up is on Jefferson in Tennessee, behind Arthur's Pub. We have billboards. We have a billboard campaign. And we have 6 billboards that's going up by the 29th, or by that day,
By that day, the 30th.
By the 30th. But one is already up.
Yeah, I seen that.
You did?
Yeah.
And it says the
Yeah.
number one cause of death
Right.
for black children and teenagers is firearms.
Right.
There's another one that says stop the guns, stop the iron pipeline from Ohio to Buffalo. And there's a graph of guns coming from Ohio to
So
Buffalo in gun trafficking now.
Okay.
And so the other one is called Congressman Higgins. We have his name and his phone number on a big billboard.
Okay.
And we're calling for Congressman Higgins to represent our voice in Washington and Congress for the repeal of what we're going to talk about, this amendment called the Todd-Tiahrt Amendment. That's been on the books since 2003.
Okay.
And so that's our billboard campaign.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to speak to that Thursday. That's the first part of the 2020 Anti-Gun Violence Community Action Plan. Then the second part is MVP, we crafted letters. One letter is to Mayor Brown, one letter is to Congressman Higgins, one letter is to Secretary Flynn, another we'll put one together for they added Senator Kennedy in the equation. The other letter is directly to Commissioner Lockwood.
Okay.
And so these letters are telling them what we expect them to do with
And get it
respect
done.
to stopping guns from being trafficked into our
Right.
community.
Right.
All right? And so the mayor has signed on already. I went over his letter with him personally.
Okay.
And he didn't get any pushback. He said, Leo, I'll sign the rest of these letters.
Right.
So he did tell me that personally. So these letters, we want them to put their signature on that they're on board with this just community action plan. So after the local law enforcement or elected officials and local law enforcement with the letters,
Okay.
then we have clergy.
Okay.
So as you can see, we're getting
Yeah,
everybody
stuff.
involved,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
It's a community action.
Right.
So now clergy, we're asking clergy on that to step up.
Okay.
History teaches us that the black church is so important for the rise, the liberation, the salvation of black people. To bring us out of the condition that slavery has put us in.
Okay.
And so the black church is just important. It's the most,
Yes, it is.
and not only is it the most influential, it's the most lucrative institution in the black
Yeah,
community.
right. Yeah.
So it's where the money is
Yeah.
too,
Right.
So, no matter what your religion, are you Muslim, Jew, Christian, black church is the black church. The black
We
church.
make everything.
Yeah, it's the black church that raised Wall Street up, so
Yeah.
Black Wall Street. So we have to get the black church involved.
Right.
Right? So we're speaking to the clergy as well.
Right.
And by God's grace, 2 years we've been going hard. And we have Pastor Gillison on board now with that big, beautiful Mount Island church. We have Pastor Nicholas Pointer, Michael Badger. Please go to
That's my
Facebook
cousin.
and look. Let me tell you something. Michael Badger is lighting this thing up. Bishop Badger took this information and he taking it to another level. And when I heard that brother speak to the congressman the other day, sister, I said, it's on now.
Right.
This is Genie ain't going back in the bottom.
Right.
Genie has the bottom down. When I heard Bishop Badger going in like that the other day, talking about the Tiahrt Amendment and trafficking guns,
Right.
I said, Genie out the bottom now.
What I said.
Ain't no getting this Genie back in.
Do y'all got Darius Pridgett on?
Well, we're going to talk to our brother. Yeah, I'm sure he'll come
I know
on.
he got a
Because
lot.
what we're doing is on the right side of right.
Right.
And these are good brothers,
Yes, they are. Yes, they
And one thing I will say, I just remember back in 1994 when we first started Stop the Violence Coalition, when we were first getting
Oh, you
cranked
was a part of
up.
that?
We was at the Genesis of Stop the Violence Coalition.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, right. Yeah, so, there was a lady, and people don't know this. There was a lady killed right there on Genesee and Goodyear. Remember the old lady, the guy climbed through the window, shot
I
through
know
the
that.
window?
Yeah.
And what we did was we said, can you not both back in lockstep back then? And 15, 16 years ago, and with some of the other group members, we said, man, we got to do something about this, man. We got to make some noise. So we decided to start a summer, what we call bringing light into the darkness, changing the climate and the atmosphere. We had a whole name for it, but in essence, what it was, we wanted to show the presence of righteousness in the midst of all that was going on. There was riots and shootings when that lady got killed. So we wanted the light to outshine the darkness, the
Right.
truth to the outside the falls, in the presence of God in the gate. So we felt like we had to represent the light, the truth. And so we got to get out. And that, you know, we talked about this hard, and spiritually we were in tune. And so what we did was we went to the black church. And we said we're going to set up a whole stage right there in front of that lady, right next to that lady's house, right where Price Shoppers is. We blocked off Twiggy and Genesee Street with a large stage. Bishop Pritchett paid for the stage and all the whole sound system. Bishop Bronner paid for all the radio, the WBOK radio. Yeah. All the pastors went down there and said, be there. And you heard their voices on radio for 2 weeks. Okay. And Bronner paid for that. He don't pay for that. Okay. Michael Badger paid for all the posters we put up. Okay. And so, they got involved. That was back in '94, sister. Okay. So I'm sure, you know, our brothers, they've never turned down, you know, anything like this before. I mean, I'm real confident that we haven't said down. We haven't said down what Pastor Pritchett did, but they've always been there. Right. So, clergy. Clergy is on the list of the community action plan, okay? And we have many pastors on board already. Okay. And we have Pastor Simmons, we have Pastor Giles, we have Melvin Taylor, Gillison, Badger, you know, so it's a groundswell of pastors that's starting to come on. Okay. And so, and then after the pastors, and at the press conference, we're going to hear from Buffalo Public School Board Sharon Cotman, president of the school board. She's going to be there. I don't know if you all know Sharon Cotman, but she's the president. This is a black sister. Right? She's the president. And for those who don't know, we have a strong sister that's the school board president, Sharon Cotman. So she's going to say a word on behalf of, underneath that sign that says the #1 cause of for black children and teenagers, those are school age. Okay. That's school age. Right. So this, you know, there's an interest to her. And so she's going to speak. We have a message that's coming right from the superintendent, Dr. Crider Cash. And then we're going to talk. We're going to bring up some of the community leaders. Okay. And, you know, speak to the community. And that's pretty much what the 2020 is about. Okay.
Now, what did you, I was telling us earlier about what you're doing on the radio.
Well, I've been, this is, it's not new for me, but it is. Okay. Just to swell how quick it's happening. Right. Saturday did 3 radio shows. Yeah. Started out at 8 in the morning with L. Nathan Hare, and then from 8 to 9, from 9 to 10 I did Bishop Badger's show, and then from 10 to 11 I did Pastor Porter's show. Okay. But prior to that, Thursday night, I did Sam Radford's show. Oh. So one heard the other and said, brother, you gotta come on the show, you gotta come on the show. So, you know, I'm humble. Yeah. I'm just humbled, you know, and it's a very humbling, and I'm here with you all. Yeah. It's very humbling, and there's so many things that's just been rapidly happening, but it's the result. We're building on the universe, right. and this is God. This is God's, right. You know, and I'm convinced. Right. I mean, you know, you get to a point where you just, you know, and you get on out your way, right, and let the Creator just work through you. Yeah. So. So I've been on all these radio shows with this information that we're about to talk about now.
Okay. Now, I want to give them a little background on what you actually been doing with the MVPs with the community. Could you give us a little background on what you've been?
Yeah, for 2 years now, a little over 2 years now, the MVP has been in existence. Again, MVP stands for Most Valuable Parents. If I could just take just like 30 seconds just to tell you how we started. Yeah. There was a rash of violence in 2018, and when the sister Yvette got killed with the baby in the fruit belt.
Yeah.
It just started with Facebook plea, really. Right. And I just got on my page and I said, you know, brothers and sisters, let's stand up as parents. You know, so that's something we can do if we parents, you know, the generation that, you know, that these children belong to. Let us come together and show some sense of solidarity to speak against this violence. And so people start commenting where you want to meet and how we going to unite. So Pastor Simmons Kenny's always made sure we have Pratt Center, Edward Saunders Center, wherever we need to go with the community centers, he's always got the, the keys to the
Right,
community center.
right.
So I said on Facebook, I said, let's meet at the Edward Saunders Center Thursday at 6 o'clock. I don't know where it came from. I didn't even know the place was available. Right?
Right.
No regular available. No, however, subsequently, what happened was people started commenting, and everybody, I didn't realize how many people was listening but wasn't speaking, comment.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, blah, blah, blah. So they started commenting. And then that Thursday came, I almost wish I could have took her. I didn't know what I was going to say to these people. All I said, let's come together. I know it's my family. I know that I got a son out there in Forest Lawn. I know the pain.
Right.
And I know a lot of people showed up whose faces I know that don't just share that pain.
Right.
So I'm comfortable here, you know what I mean? And so it took off. I mean, this was May 24th. June 10th was the Juneteenth parade.
Yeah.
We loaded the Juneteenth
I was about to
parade.
say, I seen
We
that.
had shirts, banners, and everything in a matter of 2 weeks. Is that right, Kenny?
Right.
In a matter of 2 weeks, we had a long 12-foot banner, MVP.
Yeah.
Everybody got blue shirts on. You
Right.
can go back on the Facebook pages and see.
Oh, no, we got it.
You would have thought we had been together for years. That was a
Right.
matter of 2
Weeks, wow.
That's how many people joined.
Right.
And and so we've been meeting ever since.
Okay.
We went from and a lot of this, Kenny and I talked over strategically what our moves was going to be. I mean, this is my confidant when it comes to just going into secret, quiet council and deciding how we gonna move.
Right.
And so we went from meeting there for about 2 weeks, and the place got kind of small, and there was a beef with the fruit out in the Central Park. So we said, man, let's go into the heart of the beef. So, and we went, and one evening we caught Pastor Bronner coming out to church, and we said, man, we need to meet in this church, man. This church, we need a bigger spot. And he said, no, we went to CAO over on
45 June.
Julia. But when the people came, the place wouldn't hold us.
Oh,
They didn't have a room in that building to hold us.
Okay.
The people were all out in the hallway and all
Right.
down out in the street.
Right.
So then we went to Elam,
Bishop.
and Bishop gave us a place large enough to hold,
Right.
1,000 people.
Right.
And then we filled that joint up. Then we filled that place up.
So how many people was it involved in this?
So people started to join.
Okay.
It's become members. And
Right.
then people just started to come to the meeting as supporters. And so there's no obligation to be members, but
Right.
people kept coming out.
Right.
And so right now, what we did was we created a mass texting database for easy texting. And we reach out to about 1,000 people, 1,100 people at any given moment. And still 2 years later, if we just want to, we can make a call and have 100 people at anywhere.
Okay.
But the main thing was, but our main aim was to create that necessary synergy
Right.
with other organizations, to pool our resources together with other organizations. And so, that's been the paradigm of the MVP. And I teach that hard,
Okay.
that you can hold a piece of wood over here that holds 100 pounds, and that's all it can hold. One over here, but when you nail them together, they can hold 500
All right.
pounds. That new power is the creator.
Right.
And so that's the synergistic value of coming together. And that's our paradigm. So you can't counsel us in division.
Right.
We're about uniting. We don't counsel in division, and we can't counsel us in
Right.
division.
Right.
So our aim and goal is to unite our community at any measure. At any given time, you will always find us trying to, and when you think when you see people, your people, and this is how black people really got to understand this system. These are just universal principles. It's not necessarily dealing with gun violence, but it's the root of our recovery. Loving black, because we've been taught to hate each other so much. So when you think through this paradigm, when you see things through this lens, now your sister becomes your ally, not your enemy. Your brother becomes a resource, not a rival, because you can be stronger with him.
Right.
So when you walk in a room, you don't say, you know, the saying, no. You walk in there, your eye light up and say, that's a resource level in.
And that's how it's supposed to be.
So if somebody watching this, how, and they wanted to join, would you tell them how would they be able to?
Very simple. Go to joinmvp.org.
I know that's
joinmvp.org. We got a beautiful website. And you can just punch in, and just when you punch that in, it rings about 3 of our cell phones instantly.
Oh, okay.
Now let me ask you another question. What, and I know Kenny told us a bunch of little things, not little things, excuse me, a bunch of things he's doing with the young men in the community. What, are you participating in a lot of things with Kenny when it comes to that, or does everybody have their own entity with it?
Back in,
Because I know you always say
yeah,
with boys.
there's a lot of stuff I did because of Kenny. Look, I had like 14 boys practically living in my home, but I raised them all in the community center that he would open every day and every night for us. So we've been working together with young men.
Because we want to start trying to see if we can get these young men and send them somewhere.
Well, I'll tell you something that we also doing. We can't wait till this COVID thing is over.
Right.
We got crazy resources now. People that's been pouring into us, and we ready to rock and roll.
Right.
Just soon this thing break, man, we going hard.
Okay.
Back in when I get back to Virginia, 2010. I remember in 2010. It's 2000. It's 10 years ago. He's always ran the baseball programs, and I remember joining on with Kenny, and we had baseball going, basketball going. We're talking 10 years in now.
Right.
You know, so and Pastor Simpkins has been working with young men since he was a young man, and I was working with him when he was a kid. So we got some history.
Yeah.
We got a track record of this.
Right.
But I tell you this, you know, I took on my son Hakeem. Hakeem is 20 years old now, and so Hakeem, when he was 10 years old, is when he really started playing organized sports, and I took on this whole crew, and I mean, they probably live with these, so it's going to sound a little
I know.
weird, but we created, you know, the basketball hoop in the yard, the weight room, the theater room, was all built for them.
Right.
And the mothers used to come to the house and say, you know, they used to wanted to make sure that, you know, Shady going, and they sons don't want to come home.
Right.
I invite them on in, you know, no boys cleaning and cooking, you know, but we teaching the principles.
That's right.
You know, we have a program that teaches peer pressure, conflict resolution, decision making, and the dangers of gang affiliation.
Okay.
And so now we have gyms. Now we have the resources to perform our programs, and how that gang intervention program goes, and it's life skills program is what it really is. I'll just give you a good example. We can just take peer pressure. Well, when a young man leaves our group, he knows every dynamic of peer pressure, not just the term. And most of us have not been formally trained in what peer pressure really is. And I'll give you a good, quick example. That young man is going to know that negative peer pressure, he's pretty much already know that instinctively. He's going to know that negative peer pressure is when, you know, you're being forced or trying to coerce into doing something, or shoved into doing something you don't want to do. Peer pressure, negative peer pressure. We give examples. You, a lot of different things, right? Drinking, stuff like that. And they pretty much know that instinctively. But also he's going to know what unspoken peer pressure is. See, most of us haven't been trained in that. And he's going to know that, you know, the music is peer pressure. Not necessarily outright listening to this, but this is my peers listen to. Right. And he's busting the sag, the clothing, the hairstyles. So we identify all the different dynamics of unspoken peer pressure. But when we finish with that young man, we make a leader out of him and teach him to stand up, make no excuses of being a leader and administering positive peer pressure in the face of negative peer pressure. So when you come around me and my boys or his boys, and you one of the kids coming around with that foolishness, we stand back and watch. Right. We don't got to say a word. Our boys jump on them with both feet. You see what I'm saying? So we make leaders out of them, and we teach them. Don't make no excuses of being different.
Right.
and administering positive peer pressure. That's what the girls like, man. That's what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's
right.
all part of the program.
Right.
The girls like that different dude. That dude that said, nah, we don't do that.
Right.
So that's how we turn them out. And you know, when we teach them in our conflict resolution, we teach them how to think.
Right.
You ain't no punk because you come to Kenny.
Right.
For you pull this trigger.
Right.
You ain't no punk because you come to me because you come to let me know, yo, dude, I'm about to do this, dude.
Right.
I need you to talk to this cat. I'm about to hurt her.
Right.
That make you a man.
Right.
So we teach them just techniques. You know, first eliminate the negative,
Right.
then identify the problem, because
Right.
you may be part of the problem.
Right.
We teach them to do
Okay.
some introspection to see if they part of the problem,
Okay.
and then choose your best option.
Right.
So we teach them how to think. In between the stimulus, this dude got you doing something to you, or really vexing your spirit, in your response lies a small gap, and you have the power of choice.
Right.
So we teach them to use that gap.
Don't react.
Use that gap and administer the power of choice. Nobody can take that from you right now. And the wisest people know how to use that gap. Right? And so, I'm real passionate about this.
Oh, no.
So yeah, but this is what we teach. When we teach dangers, not just being in a gang of affiliation, how it brings dangers to your family, man. And we draw scenarios. We do role playing. How your sister. We give examples from the news, you know, in history, in the news, how boys got in fights and it cost them their little sister's life and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And how you bring danger to yourself. You know, the chances of now you starting to use drugs and everything and succumbing to negative peer pressure because now you in a gang and you trying to fit in. You know, and we go over all that. How it affects the game, how it affects you, how it affects your family, how it affects your community.
Now,
So
let me ask
we
you.
teach all that.
You and Kenny. Now, do y'all just have these classes going on like this? Because I'm kind of intrigued by it. Like I
Well, I'll tell you what Kenny and I do together
so
with
I
this
can
respect. What we're going to do, just when this thing open up, we're going to have a big family breakfast.
Okay.
And it's most part, the last breakfast we had, it was 90% women. So it's always more women.
Right.
So we're going to have a big breakfast on us. We're paying for, MVP is paying for it.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to bring the women in. We may not get registered. We may not be able to register everybody's child for that first go around, but we may have a waiting list. We're going to try to accommodate everybody. Right?
So we're gonna have quarters.
Yeah.
Kids.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to take that first group. We're going to have that breakfast. We're going to have people register their children. We'll do a presentation like I'm doing right now. And but how we introduce it is through sports. That's what we do. We always use basketball or something. But now everybody doesn't necessarily have to play basketball. Kenny loves to take the kids fishing and stuff. And see, that becomes the beauty of it when you got kids just registered and you know, y'all dealing with basketball training. But yeah, we go out to the batting cage and nobody can hit that ball with another 60 miles an hour. Everybody's scared. So now it's neutral. We go out to the golf course, to the driving range, it's neutral. We go out there fishing. Nobody know how to catch more fish than the other than Kenny and Shuki. But you see what I'm saying? But so we still have those elements.
Okay.
But we use basketball.
Okay.
And we use chess. But basketball is a hook, right? So we have, say, 20 kids. We have 10 in the gym. And we use my son and them when they come home from colleges to keep them off the street, get them $12, $13 an hour, to give them skill training. But let's say we have 15 kids in the gym, right? 15 in the workshop doing peer pressure.
Gotcha.
45 minutes, you can't have one without the other.
That's right.
And the parents gonna have to know that. This is what your son ready to get into. Now you sign him up, this is what he's gonna have to do. But he can't act a fool in that workshop. No, he coming right out of there quick. Right? So, let me let you know. Yeah, no, we don't play with the workshop. Because I'll tell you why. Because we create the atmosphere of camaraderie, but an atmosphere of sacredness.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. But we got 15 to 15. 45 minutes, you get peer pressure or whatever topic, conflict resolution, decision making, things against gang affiliation. 45 minutes, y'all in there training under the whistle, switch. 45, then 90 in the gym. But everything is structured. Right? Even when they're on the court, it's a boot camp thing. I mean, but they love it. They're having fun, but they're still being trained into young manhood.
That's right.
And so we start off every one of our workshops with what we call filling session, where everybody pick out a word. We have this list of words, our feeling words, and you pick out a word of how you feel. Because the same kid that may have went home last night was all chippery and doing good, something may have happened to him overnight.
Right.
So now we get a kind of grip. I'm getting an idea of how every kid feels. Sometimes we don't even go into the session because we're dealing with some serious stuff. Some of this stuff we have to just shut down.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Focus on
Report.
that
And we
thing.
got to, but you know, you see what I'm coming from.
Right.
So, but these feeling sessions becomes what they do is they build up the trust in these young men because they get so intense and they get so, and we make it a time where the door is closed, nothing leaves here. You know what I mean? So we make it sacred.
Okay.
And so, you start to feel the swell, and people start to open up.
Okay.
And in those groups, as they're reading, one kid is reading out loud, while the others are reading in silent. We stop, we build, we stop, we build, we stop. And the idea is to rise and tide lifts all ships. We don't allow, Kenny and I, when we train the facilitators, all them days of facilitators, older men and women coming in front of our kids and posing their autobiographies and home movies into the minds. We don't do that. The curriculum fosters the dialogue, and then we let the children teach each other. But although you bring your experience, but we don't want you.
Attica mother.
We don't want you imposing your autobiography or your
Mad Dog.
Matador or war stories.
Not the mad dog.
But you get where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah.
So everything is structured, even the facilitator.
Right.
We don't play with this.
Right.
So you're not gonna come in, man, back when I came back.
Yeah.
We too sharp for that.
Right.
No, but it's time to create paradigm shifts in the minds of our children.
Right.
I know we're here talking about gun violence, and we kind of digress,
No.
right?
We need to be about it.
All right.
Well, I wanted to
We're gonna
ask
do
you
a couple
like far
questions.
as so say if I was a young boy had some problems and things going on and I might got some serious situations and like you said I come out and reach out to one of y'all, how would I go about doing that?
Well, first we try to create.
Do you have a hotline? That's best.
Well, when you go to MVP.org, that number you see.
Oh, so that's how you direct.
When you go
Okay.
to 716-903-5590, that's this phone. So,
Okay.
I mean, ain't no secret.
So it is
My
a
phone
number. Okay.
My phone number is the public know.
Okay.
That's on the website and everything.
Yeah, they have
Yeah, I know
a
people
number
want
here.
to, know, like.
You on the website?
Yeah, I'm on your website.
Go to the menu and scroll through it. But that number right there, if you dial that number, this phone number.
And what number was that?
716-903-5590. But more importantly, being out in the community. Kenny is and I'll let him speak to this, he's out in the community every single day. I got a little older, I can't
Can't get
keep up with him as much as I do, but I got my ways that I do things from the rocket chair. But no,
Yeah.
but Kenny,
I got Kenny number.
yeah. But Kenny's always out there. Always out there. And we plan on, when this COVID thing is over, creating as many programs as we can to make sure that we be out there where the children are coming to us.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what we have to do.
Right.
Because now, let me say this last thing, Pastor.
I'm cool.
Okay.
I brought.
One thing we understand is this, sisters, and please listen to this, because this is so important. What we believe and what we know, and I may say, what about the girls? We get it with the girls. We understand that the girls are getting in a lot of trouble now, and they're, the position they're taking is like unprecedented. Some of the things that they're doing, and we get that. But we're into manhood training. We're into working with our sisters, our older sisters, to create programs for our girls, but it's hands off the girls. I mean, me personally, I'm not working with people's daughters.
Right.
I don't like men working with my daughters.
At all.
At all. So I'm not gonna play myself, set myself up, because a little girl might just be sweet on me.
Right.
So I'm not putting myself in that position.
Right.
I always call all the sisters sister, right?
Yeah.
And if you're on my Facebook page, I'm always saying respect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always saying yes, my sister, respect.
Right.
So I say about myself, I'm a married man.
Right.
And so, but we work with the boys. But one thing we do understand is that, around the age of 12, and we know this from being men, young boys have to start to be dealt differently with the girl. Let's be real. It's 98% of the violence committed in the community at the hands of young men. Girls are not just ride by door and shoot.
Right.
I mean, they get into it
Right.
now, but not, you know,
Right.
ideally, you know, it's mostly our boys, right? So around the age of 12, and this is the science to it, the natural aggressive nature starts to manifest in young men. I remember me at 12, I was busting my gun at 12. I was straight, wanting to be head warlord Matador, straight off Break Street. I walked through a pile of people and everybody just opened up like the Red Sea. I had so much shot. But I had a false sense of power. And then I had people around me gassing me up. And I was just trying to prove myself to the big boys on Sycamore. Right? And that's was just invoked. That was it. That was my world. So I know how that feels. Right? And I know how that aggressive nature. But I'll tell you, I'll back up and tell you something that happened in my life. When I went to Westminster, I met a man named Carl Best, who was the baseball coach there. And that man brought baseball out of me that I was so good at 12, I played on a 16-year-old team too. Carl told the Matadors on Monroe Street, deep in the Matador term, hands off this one, this is mine right here. Then he told me, you either with them or you with me. But you can't have both. I chose Carl.
Right.
But when the funding ran out from Westminster, I joined the Matadors and started getting in trouble. To the point where I was shooting, and my mother had to send me to D.C. for that. That's how bad I was. But there's a natural aggressive nature that starts to manifest in young men around the age of 12. We understand that.
Right.
That's the age we want. At 11. We want out to them at 10 and 11.
Oh, okay.
We're not even waiting at 12.
Right.
But that's the ideal age. Because when that natural aggressive nature starts to manifest, it's our duty to set up programs and open up, get these institutions opened up to channel that aggressive nature. See, this isn't social science. We look at little league sports as some fun games and, win. But no, we're being professors on those courts, and we're training our young men from a position of knowledge and science, right? And so when you look, notice this, when you look back since the inception of America, YMCA's was before they had YWCA's. YMCA, Young Men's Christian Association. What is the largest room in the YMCA? The basketball court, right? When the affluence and they know boys around that age to cadet schools. Jews have bar mitzvahs. This is all science. This is a social science that we don't understand. You want to start the violence? Train your boys. And so that's we're heavy into that. I mean, but we look at it from that perspective. From a scientific perspective, and we look and we work with the other coaches and try to get them to see themselves, as more than just coaches.
Coaching, right.
And just try to show them
winning.
and show them the responsibility that they have to be examples in front of these kids. So, but Kenny and I have been talking like this for years. Pastor Simmons understands that. He understands that from a scientific perspective. So. That's just our duty. So we do try to answer your question. I know I went the long route with it. Yeah, but the thing is, we have to keep programs, brother. I had all the boys I was talking about lived in my house. Where they at now, Kenny?
College.
All of them went to colleges mostly. We might have one slip, two slip through the crack. But all them boys either went D1.
Not the ones that stuck with the program.
No, not the ones, yeah. Either D1 or we took advantage of it, say yes to education, and they all down to 90. Playing ball at all them schools from Cortland to Finger Lakes to, they all down. Yeah, all down there, all that 90.
Hampton University.
We got one D1 in Hampton, we got Ticket, the one that got shot in the Lanefield.
Tennessee.
Division I, University of Tennessee, grown up in my yard. Yeah, so if all them boys been through what we talking about. And then my son just got first team all conference at Finger Lake, ran that thing. All the boys that come right off the east side of Buffalo, around Bailey Avenue, in that area, they went and dominated them colleges. So, making sure we have them platform. Yeah.
I'm just gonna, and we got educated again. Every time we deal with Kenny and getting
See, that's the thing about it, and this is what I want people to understand and realize. Get accurate information you know, because I see that not just you, a lot of people, you know, got a thing with the mayor, they got things with politicians, they just got things with them. We can no longer point the finger at them when we have the capability as community leaders to make a difference, you know, in the lives of our children, of our loved ones, you know, in our neighborhood. It's not their fault that a young man get in a car and go shoot somebody. It's our fault because we have not paid attention and we have been so programmed, you know what I'm saying, to look for government for the solution to all our problems. We are the only race on the earth that look for government to take care of us. Other ethnicities don't do that. You know, Uncle Neil taught us 10 years ago that when young men at the age of 12, we have what we call a natural aggression, right? And white people, Chinese people, you know, Europeans, you know, overseas, they channel their young men's aggression into soccer, volleyball, you understand what I'm saying? Lacrosse, you know, things to get that, you know, aggression out of them. You know, we don't do that. We don't pay attention to there's something inside of our young men, you know, that's called an aggression. It can be channeled to the positive or to the negative. And we as African American people look for other folks to raise our kids and to do for us, you know, what we should be doing for ourselves. So that's what it is about MVP. That's what, you know, we do. We lead by example. We don't make excuses, you know, and we don't expect anybody to do anything for us. We got to understand as black people, nobody is coming to help us. A spaceship is not coming out of the sky. The heaven's not going to open. It's not going to be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Jesus is not going to come through the crowd and people going to start ascending up into heaven and all that. All that's is nonsense. We got to be the force behind the change, and that's what, you know, we teach our children, and that's what we display for our community. Stop blaming folks for the solution, for the problems. We all about the solution. So when you see that press conference and you see Uncle Neil take that podium on the 30th, we're all about the solution, and we're holding people accountable, namely ourselves as the black community. You know, we expect our politicians to help us, you know, get legislation and policy in place to stop these guns. Right. But we as a community, we have to tell our young brothers, we love y'all. You know, and like when we had our discussion, you know, our platform, like my message to the kids is, I knew you before you was Killer Mike. You know, I knew you when you was Mike at the Ken Bailey Center. I remember you asking me to open your milk at free lunch when you was 6 years old. We remember that. You know, you are not a killer. You are not a murderer. You are not a savage. And we know you hurt. And we know there's pain inside of you. And we know that it's hard for you to keep burying your comrades, you know. But if you want to stop, the MVP is here. Call Neil Diamonds, call Kenny Simmons, you know what I'm saying? Call Neil, call us, and we will go on that block and we will intercede and we will mediate, facilitate. We put our we put our lives on the line.
And that's what I've been looking for.
For us. We're not playing no
That's
games.
what I've been looking for to hear.
We're not playing no games with this.
Because I asked that about the Peacemakers. I know they be out there, I don't know if y'all all affiliated with them neither, if that's different. But I'm just saying, you know, by them being out there, I always said, why are y'all around after death? Where you at when the beef going down? You can't tell me nobody not out here hearing Ray got a problem with JJ. How come y'all not going to get JJ and say, listen, man, let's get, if you're putting yourself on front line and you getting the names, why are you not reaching out to these people to kind of try to squash the beef? You understand what I'm saying? We can't expect no police to do that. I'm not saying that. I'm not blaming the police. But it's also too with parents. You know, your children talk like that around you. I'm gonna whoop his ass, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but you're not saying, hey, don't go do that now. Ray dead. Yeah, you ain't turning your son in because that's your son, but at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying with the community too. You do have to speak up that somebody lost their child, probably over something senseless, or who got the new Jordans, or whatever the issue is out here, because I don't participate in the little kid stuff out here. And then they, you know, the media, you know, they got them all on that Facebook, and they're making threats, going live, I'm gonna kill you when I see, like, okay, well, that's a message right there. And he's not even a suspect. I don't understand that. So with the Peacemakers, that's what I'm saying. I know they was out there a lot, and I just was wondering, like, you know, why is I have reached out to them, they have not responded back to me to come on here because
we can't comment on that. I mean, the Peacemakers is a program within themselves. Their job.
Oh, y'all don't have none.
I mean, the Peacemakers is a ally. You know,
Okay,
we work
okay.
with the Peacemaker,
Okay, okay.
but we can't comment on why the Peacemakers or any other organization don't do what we expect them to do. We can't do that. But what we can say about the Peacemakers is they are a frontline organization, you know, and they are very active in the community. And I can honestly say that Pastor Giles have facilities.
Oh, that's who Pastor Giles is in?
That's
Wow.
we kind of oversee, you know,
Oh,
the Peacemaker.
okay,
But
okay.
Pastor Giles,
We work close with Pastor.
we work very close with Pastor Giles,
Okay.
and I know that he has definitely squashed a lot of community beefs, and
Okay.
you know, have sat down and worked with, you know, quote unquote gang members. I don't call them gang members.
Right,
you know
right.
what I'm saying? I call them our young men.
Right.
I don't put that label on them.
Right.
You know, they're a victim of circumstances of us dropping the ball. But you know, the Peacemakers, their job is different than the MVP.
Okay.
You know, we get right at the root. We
Okay.
we don't chop leaves down. We don't cut hedges.
Right.
You know, we don't do that. You know, we go right to the root.
Right,
And, you
right,
know,
right.
and that's how, you know, Uncle Neil teaches us. That's how he trains us.
Okay.
You know, everybody who comes to the MVP, we are very proactive. We will never counsel our community in division. You know, we will never badmouth another organization. Our job is to create synergy, you know what I'm saying, in the community, so that we can all work together, you know, on a positive note to bring change, you know, amongst black people in the city of Buffalo. That's what we do at the MVP.
Okay.
Yeah, the Peacemakers have their place. I mean, just being there as a deterrent, and if it's about breaking up a fight and they're there at like Buff.
No, I have seen them at McKinley High School.
Little League
I have
football.
seen them.
Yeah, Little League football.
Yeah, I've seen them.
So, and Pastor Giles is our brother, big brother. I mean, you know, all his intentions are good. He helps get people. A lot of them comes out of prisons and they get these, get a little job, get stipends.
I'm gonna get
They
one.
get them back where. Then
You want him on here Monday?
I got some.
We'll get him here.
Oh, you good? I'll let you know when I can have it because I got it this Monday.
Pastor
Yeah.
Giles is
He's a good one.
Yeah.
good.
No, I'm not putting it up because I don't even know him
Yeah.
personally. You know, I mean, I have heard the name.
But what I was gonna say is, you know, they pretty much can just handle some of the things that they handle.
Right.
Well, as Kenny said, you know, kind of the more proactive stuff. You know, going at some of the systemic stuff and the root of things. And, you know, we like to deal. We like to deal with things from that perspective. Like when we formed the our When Parents Ask for Help. I don't know if we mentioned that we have a Monday parent support group. See, y'all
Parent
sisters
support
should
group.
come. You know why? Because we right now we have an all-out recruitment for Buffalo Public School parents, particularly the sisters that have children in the Buffalo Public School. MVP is one of the member groups of what is called the Buffalo Public School. This is big too. People don't know how big it is. The Buffalo Public School Parent Congress. And you don't just walk in with your group, and you got to go through some vetting. And there's a process. And then you got to go up to City Hall and be recognized by the board. White folks and everybody up there. They got to recognize your group. Well, we're at the table with all the decision making. I mean, I got the superintendent's number in my phone. I called Dr. Cash. I called Sharon Cotman. We're at the door. So we're advocates for the mothers, you know what I mean, with their children in the school.
Okay.
We can call the top people and say, look, we got a little sister that's got an issue at being in high school. And we need to call, we need to call a meeting, right? We need to call a red flag meeting.
Okay.
And we need to deal with this.
Okay.
But we're not calling the people.
Right.
We don't gotta go to the we can
Yeah.
go to the principal
Well,
for the sake of protocol.
Right.
But if we don't get no action there, then we gonna waste our time.
Gotcha.
We're going right to the
I'm
top.
gonna have to get with you
No,
on
the
the
people at the
situation.
top look like me and you. See,
Okay.
we got it like that now.
Right.
And we need to use it like that.
Right.
And so what MVP is a public school board recognized parent group.
Okay.
It's 5 groups,
Okay.
and we're one of them. And we're at the table with the superintendent, with the board. I'm talking about the budget, it's $1 billion budget. We hear everything.
Okay.
So we hearing some stuff that's unprecedented. I mean, you know, the public was never privy to. It was never, you know, welcome at that table. We're at that table. So and we are. And so on Mondays at Bennett until COVID hit. If you look at if you look at our menu, and you go to education, go to education. I think it's going to put up a book When Parents Ask for Help.
Is that education?
Yeah, if you go through our menu, it's about us. It's about it says founders. Gonna show me and
What
Monica.
about the meetings with the education?
No, that's meetings. Those meetings are our community engagement platform meetings.
Okay,
I'm
so
telling
the
you.
educational, marital self-help, peer group meetings.
Yeah, did you see?
Mondays at 5:30.
Yeah, and then in high school, do you see some of those pictures? There's a show scroll.
Yeah.
That's how our meetings look. You see all them women there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sisters.
Oh, yeah.
Run that thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's Mondays at 5:30. It's been going on for almost 2 years. Every Monday. We loaded with,
Well, I'm gonna have to get y'all schedules around here, but I'm gonna check this website.
But what we need is sharp, seasoned, thorough women like y'all to now help us
You
in
think
our
this sounds
recruitment process. I already know.
I'm
But
just
I think y'all want to talk.
I'm gonna talk to you after these cameras.
But look, but now, because we all have a duty and a responsibility to give back to our people.
Right.
Right.
And so, and I want to say something to that too. Our duty to give back and come together. But we're on all our recruitment for parents with children that's in the Buffalo Public Schools. Particularly those 7th and 8th graders who still got 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And a lot of these are single women. So we on an all-out recruitment drive to get those sisters into that support group.
Okay.
And in that support group, you got to realize we're dealing with a curriculum that has 25 years of research. When Parents Ask for Help is offered through National Search Institute out of Minnesota.
Okay.
And that curriculum that we deal with in that parent support group, that curriculum has 28 handouts in it. They deal from all the way from almost every dynamic of parenting. And so in any given dynamic, we may change which handout we're going to use,
Right.
but it deals from parents getting along with their children, with adolescent, TV, internet, graduation and beyond, sexuality,
Oh, okay.
drugs.
Oh.
I mean, there's a handout for everything
Okay.
that you can think of. And so again, we have circle groups, right? And so and what it teaches is the foundation of it comes from what is called the 40 developmental assets. And these 40 developmental assets, you have 20 that's external, 20 that's internal. And so the external assets is really what we need to supply these children from the outside. Every child should have at least other 3 adult relatives that they can call.
Right.
So we work on that with the women, with the child, and we start to help them to connect their children to their aunties and uncles. That is so important,
Right.
right? They need to have somebody, a Kenny,
Right.
a Neil in the
Right.
community they can go to, so we connect them with that.
Right.
So you see what I'm saying?
Get up. Get up.
So that makes sense. So these are some of the external assets.
Right.
And then the internal assets we deal with is, integrity and trust and honesty and stuff like that.
Right.
But again, those groups are for adults.
Okay.
But you'll be surprised. Again, we let the curriculum foster dialogue, but then when we have people in there of age, women, we got another 3,000 years of experience.
Right.
You know what I mean? That comes into the conversation.
Right.
So imagine we got y'all seasoned sisters,
Right.
and we got these 23-year-old women that's part of the group with 16, 15-year-old kids.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And so now we get a chance to really school out of those sisters.
Well, there y'all have it, y'all. All the information that we are going to be providing to y'all so that y'all can get on it. You want to reach out to that email again? Or
That email is
not email, website.
The website was joinmvp.org.
Okay, and that is Most Valuable Parents. Again, we got Kenneth Simmons here. And we got Neil, Uncle Neil we call here. And basically they do a lot. Again, come down on July 30th, that's Thursday, and that will be at Jefferson and Genesee.
Right behind the Arthur Pub. Right
At
there,
the, oh, right
Virginia
behind.
and Jefferson.
Oh, okay, Virginia and Jefferson. That's where we see the billboard at. The billboard is at. Okay.
And again, that's what we doing. We trying to find a solution when we come down there. That's what we doing. We trying to find a solution to these problems.
Well,
So
when
we-
you come down, the solution to the problem is going to be unveiled in our 2020, action plan. So when you come down there, you're actually coming down there to support the MVP in his press conference. It's not going to be a gripe meeting. It's not going to be, question and answer. It's going to be for us to show the whole entire community what we are doing as a proactive group to combat the gun trafficking problem that we have in our community. So if you come down, you're coming down to support the efforts of the MVP.
And we're just going live. We're going live just to show you something that's going, that they're doing right there on the spot. And again, we will hear from different speakers going on there, correct?
Yeah, but everything is going to be aimed at gun violence.
Okay, so the whole
That's
set, so that
We're
day,
talking about gun.
July 30th, Thursday, we will be having
6
that going
o'clock.
live at 6 o'clock. So we'll be going live on that day. Again, strongunitedvoices@gmail.com. Send us your email. We would like to hear your comments, your opinion, and your voice. And if you would like to be a guest, we will be here and taking appointments on that Monday and Wednesday. See y'all.
I hustle, I hustle. I'm trying to make a